Hi everyone. We're going to do a perimeter review today to make sure that you understand all of the things that we learned about perimeter so far last week and this week. You will be having a test coming up, and I want to make sure that you understand what you're doing before I test you on it. So the first thing that we're going to go over that a lot of people seem to be having trouble with was finding the perimeter of shapes that look like this, that are sort of uneven and not as easy to figure out as if it was a rectangle or a square. So we're going to begin. I like to begin counting at the top, and we're going to count the edges or the units from the edge of one rectangle, and then we're going to count the edge of the other rectangle. So here we have 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a 2 here. I think the easiest way to keep track of what you're adding is to write down the numbers as you're counting them, and that way you can go back and check to make sure that you have all the sides. So now I have 1, 2 edges here, so I'm going to put a 2 here, and then I have 1 here, and another 1, and another 1. So I'm going to list them separately, even though I could list them as 3. I'm going to do it separately just so I can make sure I have them all. Then here I have 1, 2 edges, so I'm going to put a 2. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm going to put a 4 down. Over here I have 2, so I'm going to count 2. And then I have 1, and another 1, and another 1. So I'm going to do 1, 1, and 1. And then lastly, I have 1, 2, 2. Now we're going to be adding these all up, but what I could do is I can count the numbers that I have: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I got all the sides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them up. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I have 20 here. And my label, since there's no label listed, would be units. So if they don't tell you what the label is, then you're going to label it in units. And now I'm just going to go back and double check. It's really important to double check these types of problems because it's easy to make a mistake. So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I'm back at the top. That's why I like to start at the top. So that's the first type of problem I wanted to review. The next problem is one that looks like this, where we have 4 sides, and again, it's hard to tell from my picture, but they're supposed to be even. They don't look like it in my picture, but we have the top and the bottom sides of this figure are 14 centimeters. And we know if this side is 11, then this side has to be 11 centimeters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adding the top and the bottom together. So I added 14 plus 14 is 28. And then I added the 2 sides. 11 plus 11 is 22. And then I added 28 plus 22, and I got 50. And then I went back and looked at my label, and I know that it's 50 centimeters. Now for this one, this is a square, so we know some things about squares. We know that all the sides are the same length. So if one side is 8, even if they only give you one side, you can fill in the other sides because you know that every side is the same length. So I can either add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, or I could say 8 times 4 because I know there are 4 sides in this figure. So 8 times 4 equals 32. Or if I did 8 plus 8, that equals 16, plus another 8 plus 8 equals 16. And 16 plus 16 is 32. And my label would be inches. So that's how you would do that problem. Number 4, I have a rectangle, and again, I know some things about rectangles. I know that both the long sides are going to be the same length, and I know the short sides are going to be the same length. So if I add 8 plus 8, I get 16, and then I add the shorter sides, 4 plus 4, I get 8, and then when I add 16 plus 8, I get 24. And again, my label is feet, so I have to label my answer in feet. Now this type of problem is a little bit trickier because we're missing a number. We have a variable. In this case, it's x. It could be n. It could be any other letter. But in this case, it's x feet. And we have the 3 other sides. We have 5 feet, 3 feet, and 6 feet. So what I have to do, and I'm going to show you how to write this equation, we know that our perimeter is 16. You're given the perimeter, but we are looking for this missing number. This is kind of our question mark that we're looking for. So I'm going to write out my equation, x plus 5 plus 3 plus 6. So I'm just adding all of these, x plus 5 plus 3 plus 6 equals, and my total, let's erase that, is 16. So then I'm going to take the x, I'm just bringing the x down because I still don't know what x is, and I'm going to add it to the total of these numbers. So I have 5 plus 3, I know is 8, and if I add 8 plus 6, it gives me 14. So I'm going to bring down the x and I'm going to add it to the rest of the numbers. So x plus 14 equals 16. And now I have to figure out what the x is. Now this one happens to be pretty easy because I can say 14, and if I count up to 16, it's 2 more. So my answer would be 2 feet. But if the difference was much bigger, I might want to take my total, 16 minus 14, which is what I did over here, equals 2. So either way, you could either count up to get your answer here, and that would be the x, or you could say your answer, 16 minus 14, would give me the x. So in this case, x would be equal to 2 feet. And the last problem that I want to show you is if we're given a perimeter of 12, we have to draw shapes or find shapes that have that perimeter. So if I was going to be drawing the shapes, I would have to be thinking, if I have a 4 here, then I know I have to have a 4 here because it's a rectangle. And I would know that 4 plus 4 is 8. So I would have to try to figure out what these numbers could be. So if I had 4 plus 4 is 8, it couldn't be a 1 because then it would be 9, 10. It would only equal 10. So I know it has to be 4 plus 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So for this one, if I have one side of 3 and it's a square, I know I would have to have 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 more is 12. And in this case, if I had 5, then the other side has to be 5. That would give me 10. So I know this would have to be 11 and this would have to be 12. So you can kind of play with the numbers to see how you can get a perimeter of 12. So hopefully that helps you to understand some of the problems that you might have been having a little bit of trouble with.